I want to welcome the Prime Minister and the entire federal cabinet, the members of the Nevis Island cabinet as well, the Honourable Premier and his team, the Honourable Prime Minister, Dr. Timothy Harris and his team, and of course all of you who have come from all over St. Kitts and Nevis to be here as part of this historic town hall meeting right here in the heart of Charlestown. Tonight I'm wearing my hat, I suppose, because this is a matter for the federal cabinet, as a member of that cabinet and as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation. I had occasion to speak in Newtown quite recently and sought then to give an update as to what we were engaged in at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Aviation. And for those of you who might not have been there and who didn't listen, and certainly for those members of our citizenry that reside on this side of the Narrows, I wanted to just recap that my mandate from the Prime Minister and the Cabinet as Minister of Foreign Affairs was to expand the diplomatic footprint of St. Christopher and Nevis. As the smallest nation in the hemisphere, in a world that is increasingly hostile, a world that is increasingly difficult, it is my task to go out and to make new friends and to strengthen relationships with existing friends. And we have taken to that task with much gusto. I want to thank Ms. Kebas, our permanent secretary, and the team. I believe, and I mean no discourtesy to the other ministers, that I have the best team in the federal government because they work hard and they work long and they work well. And I think the results are there to show. I'm quite pleased to announce, as I did a few days ago, that since assuming the role of Minister of Foreign Affairs and the team being at work with our diplomats scattered throughout the globe, we have entered into formal diplomatic relations with 13 new nations. I say new not to say that the nations are new, but our diplomatic relations with them are new. And those nations, perhaps for those boys and girls out there listening, those school children who often ask me questions on WhatsApp. I got one just tonight to ask me who the 11 elected persons were in the National Parliament. And if she's listening, I started to respond. I didn't finish, but I'll respond before the night is out. Those 13 nations with which we have forged new diplomatic relations are Belarus, Bolivia, Croatia, Cyprus, the Dominican Republic, Kenya, Kosovo, Maldives, Mauritius, Mongolia, the Gambia, Saudi Arabia, and Senegal. As you can see, they are countries literally from the four corners of the world. We have also, as part and parcel of our effort, sought to make it easier for our people to travel. Our people to travel to distant lands, and for people from distant lands to come and visit with us. We have therefore set about negotiating what we call visa waiver arrangements. And these are reciprocal. We allow them to come here and they allow us to visit them as well without a visa. What this means is that when you show up with your St. Kitts Nevis passport at the border, you present your passport and you are allowed into those foreign countries without let or hindrance. You don't need to send your passport anywhere with any picture and any money to get a visa. You don't need to travel anywhere to any embassy to get a visa. And so we have set about negotiating these arrangements, and so far I'm pleased to say that since this Team Unity administration took office, we can now travel with a St. Kitts Nevis passport visa-free to Kosovo, Ukraine, the Maldives, Indonesia, Seychelles, Bolivia, and Brazil. And I'm very happy to say that just tomorrow, we will be signing additional visa waiver arrangements, and you will hear about those in the media shortly. I am also to report, ladies and gentlemen, that Paraguay, the United Arab Emirates, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Kuwait, and Brunei have all indicated their willingness and readiness to enter into visa waiver arrangements with us. Our goal and objective as a government is to ensure that that passport that you have which says St. Christopher and Nevis becomes the most powerful passport in the entire Caribbean region. And we achieve ranking in terms of passport by the number of countries that allow passport holders to access their borders without a visa. And so while we lost visa-free access to Canada in 2014, and we are working assiduously to enjoin and engage with the Canadian government on that score, I want to tell you that we have not been resting. And what we have said is that Canada is an important country, but it is but one country. And we must engage with the rest of the world as well. And so, I know some of you have said, well, why do I need visa-free access to Kosovo, or to the Maldives, or Indonesia, or Brazil? And I say to you that each and every country is important, and we do not know where we or our children might end up. It is this government's objective and purpose and intent to ensure that our people can travel the globe freely. And we will continue along this path because we think it is a good path upon which we have embarked. And so I want you to understand that when we make announcements of this nature, it is not necessarily counting how many people do we get from Senegal in a day or a year. We are building the relationships to ensure that generations of Kittitians and Nevisians can have that kind of access. And I tell you that one of the important lessons from this engagement is that countries only allow you to access their borders visa-free when they have confidence in you. And so what we have been doing is systematically rebuilding the confidence of the world in the state of St. Christopher and Nevis. I am also pleased to report, ladies and gentlemen, that some time ago, I believe it was a year and a half or so ago, we got the bad news that through no fault of our own, but through some administrative peculiarities to the European Union, that St. Kitts and Nevis had found its way on some blacklist, as they call it. We have been working with the various countries. We have engaged them at every turn. And engagement, you must understand, it is not always that you're in the press talking about engagement. Sometimes I'm at a meeting, and P.S. Bass, if she's there, will say to me, look, that is the representative from Greece. Look, that is the one from Estonia. Look, that is the one from Croatia. And you just walk across to their table and you engage them. Sometimes it's a formal meeting, sometimes it is not so formal. But the objective is to engage and to continue to engage, because all of these countries are important. And so what have we done? We have been able, through that engagement, to have St. Kitts and Nevis removed thus far. We were on the blacklist of 10 countries within the EU. We have now been removed from that list for the state of Estonia, the state of Italy, and most recently Greece has decided to remove us. And so where it was 10, it is now 7, and we hope very soon that it will be 0, because St. Kitts and Nevis has demonstrated that we are a serious country with serious leadership that the rest of the world can feel comfortable doing business with. We have, as part of that mandate to expand our diplomatic footprint, we have engaged in new consular arrangements in Bermuda and in Vietnam. We are currently pursuing the same in the Philippines, and quite shortly we'll also be doing similar in Africa, in Senegal and other countries in Africa. I am a great proponent, and I think St. Kitts and Nevis again has shown great leadership. I know you all sometimes read in the press and they say, Mark Brantley gone to Morocco again. Morocco is one of the top leading countries in Africa now, certainly a leader in North Africa. And we have, through our engagement with Morocco, been able to attain some tangible benefits. And one benefit that I will speak to, and while I have this rostrum and I'm able to speak to you, I want to encourage you to encourage your children, the young people, that Morocco has offered us 20 scholarships for study in that country per year. And that for me is important. What is even more important is that our people take the opportunity. Too often, we go out and we seek to negotiate these arrangements, whether it's with Mexico, Cuba, Taiwan, Switzerland, New Zealand, Morocco, even this country in Europe called Georgia. We have been able to get scholarships offered to our young people. And then we hear the young people say, and worse, their parents say, that they're too far, but me nah go so far. And they go to Development Bank and other banks and borrow money to go to UVI or to go to Texas or to go to New York. Nothing is wrong with any of those institutions. But why borrow when you can get it for free? And I keep making the appeal over and over to our young people. I know of too many of our people who come back with a degree, and for the first 10 years of their working life, they're paying student loan. Money they could have been using to build a little house or to improve themselves, they're paying student loan. And I'm saying to those who are here and those who might be outside listening that we as a government are working hard to create the opportunities for you. But having created them, you must grab them. And you must grab them with both hands. In Nevis, I don't know about St. Kitts, we used to have a saying, they say if it's free, take two. Well, you won't get 2 scholarships, but take one. Do not allow me when I go back to talk to my colleagues in Morocco. They tell me, my friend, you came and say you needed opportunities for training. We provided that opportunity to you, and none of your people have come to take advantage. What will I say when they tell me that? When I go to other countries and they tell me similarly, what will I say? In fact, my colleagues tell me that one parent came forward when she heard Georgia and said that her son was interested, but she thought it was Georgia in the United States. When she heard it was in Atlanta, she said, no, my son not going there. And I'm here to tell you that there are positive benefits to be had. When you go to these countries, you have the potential to learn a new language. It means that when you come back with your degree and you're equipped with that language, it makes you far more marketable. You have the opportunity to learn about a new culture. This is a changing world. And you have to be able to understand different cultures. The world is now much bigger than just Charlestown or Bastia. Much bigger than just Nevis or St. Kitts. And so I ask you please to help me and help the government to encourage our young people, encourage your children, your nieces and nephews, your cousins, to grab these opportunities because we're working hard to provide them. Let me just move on very quickly to say with some degree of satisfaction that you can hold your heads high because under this unity administration, St. Kitts and Nevis is current with not some, but all of its international obligations. We have, ladies and gentlemen, as part of our membership of different organizations, we have to pay, whether you want to call it dues or financial commitments, quota commitments, contributions. So whether it's the OECS, the OAS, the United Nations, CARICOM, and the like, we have those payments to make. And I feel proud to stand here to say that we are current because many of our neighbors are not. And sometimes we go into these forums and you have all kinds of debates sometimes as to who can vote and who can't vote and who should be in the meeting and who shouldn't be in the meeting, but some people have not paid. I'm proud to say that the Prime Minister, as Minister of Finance, has never told us no. And we have always honored our obligations. We may be small, but we are serious about what we're doing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much that I can say. But I recognize that time is short. Many of you have traveled from St. Kitts and will have to go back. And so if I can pivot, because when we in Nevis said to the electorate, give us an opportunity to join with the People's Labour Party and to join with the People's Action Movement in this historic idea called unity, because that's what it was. It was an idea that we asked the people to invest in. It was an idea that we asked you to water, to allow to germinate and grow. And we are now seeing after 2 years, some say it couldn't last, but after 2 years, we are seeing tangible progress in our country, a coming together like we have never seen in the affairs of St. Kitts and Nevis. And they said talk is cheap, but whiskey costs money. And so let us look at the money. Let us look at the money. Because for too long the people of Nevis have said that we have been left out. We have been on the outside of our nation looking in. And we see projects and development happening in St. Kitts and nothing on Nevis when those projects and development were being funded by what we thought was money that should properly be shared. And so when we say fair share for all, we mean each and every citizen in this country must have a fair access to the resources of the country. Each and every citizen of this country must have access to the full fruits of their citizenship. And whether by accident you were born in Cotton Ground or Molyneux, your rights should be no different in the state of St. Kitts and Nevis. And that is our simple statement. It may sound simple, but it has been very difficult to achieve over the years. And I'm proud to say that with unity, we are well on the way to achieving that. And I will give you the evidence. I'm a lawyer by training, I deal with evidence, you see. 2013 was an interesting year. We had an election in Nevis, historic as it was, and the CCM regained its place at the helm of the Nevis Island administration. But more than that, 2013 is a year that we were able to see recently some figures from the SIDF. The SIDF, we know, that fund that people invest in, and in exchange for that investment, once they're properly vetted and they pass the test, they can and may acquire the citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we all know that SIDF became synonymous with money and expenditure. In fact, one famous calypso in Nevis said, we want the SIDF money. So the reality was that SIDF became synonymous. And so when I looked at the numbers, the published numbers, I see that in 2013, before unity, the SIDF spent $95,474,153. Every copper was spent in St. Kitts. Not a penny of that money reached Nevis. $95,474,153. I want you to understand that that was in 2013. Unity took office in 2015. And look at the difference. Same SIDF, we got $6 million for a pier in Nevis. $2.5 million for the upgrade of sporting facilities. The geothermal project, $7.7 million. Mondo track, $10 million. Airport runway, $2 million. Control tower, $1.5 million. Alexandra Hospital, $9 million. Equipment for the Long Point Port, $1 million. Purchase of a generator up here by Nevlec, $13.5 million. Our treasury, you remember it was burnt down? We're going to rebuild it, $6.5 million. Water project, $2.5 million. You know what that comes up to? In less than 2 years of unity, $62.2 million from the SIDF for projects on the island of Nevis. Compare that. I just told in 2013, $95.4 million. Nevis did not get a penny. But under unity, in 2 years, $62.2 million for projects in Nevis. But if you think it stops there, it doesn't stop there. Because we said, as part of our discussions when unity was being put together, that the people of Nevis must be able to benefit from passport processing fees. We must be able to benefit from funds that come into the country that are intended for the benefit of the entire country. And we have sat with the Prime Minister, the Premier of Nevis, and I want to publicly commend the Premier of Nevis, because he has sat with the Prime Minister in a steady way. In a steady way. Not with any hype. You see, different to me. I like the row. I like to make noise, you know. But he calm. But he has brought home the benefits for the people of Nevis. And again, let me go to the evidence. In 2 years, well indeed less than 2 years, because we haven't reached the second anniversary quite yet. In less than 2 years, under that arrangement with the federal government, this has nothing to do with SIDF now, you know. Federal government, the people of Nevis, I'm proud to say, got $25 million in budgetary support in 2015 and $26.16 million in 2016. So the total there, well, massive, massive went math school up to university. The total is $51.16 million in budgetary support from the federal government to the NIA, representing, as we have discussed, a pro rata share of passport processing fees that has come in less than 2 years. But when we look at the difference, and comparisons are sometimes important so we understand the point. The NRP was in Nevis in the NIA from 2006. In 2010, they lent Patrice Nisbet to Douglas. And they remained in that arrangement until you, the people of the country, voted them out in 2015. 2006 to 2015 represents 10 years. And in those 10 years, the NRP Labour administration only saw it fit to send $17.3 million to Nevis. Wow. 17.3 in 10 years, 51.16 in less than 2 under unity. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the benefits to the people of Nevis from this arrangement, it's not just talk. When I look at what the SIDF that has now been made available to Nevis, and the federal government under the caring leadership of Dr. Timothy Harris has done, I say that in less than 2 years, the people of Nevis have been the direct beneficiaries of some $113.36 million. I don't know how $100 million look. I never see it yet. But on paper, $113.36 million flowing to the citizens of the country who live and work and were born and make Nevis their home is by any measure a significant achievement for this Team Unity government. As I wrap up, because I know we have limited time, let me just say this. It is not just about the money, although money is important. It is also about the sense of inclusion that the people of Nevis now have. You see this hall, for those who are not here, let me tell you, is packed with people from the four corners of St. Kitts and Nevis. People are here from St. Kitts and all over St. Kitts. People are here from Nevis and all over Nevis. The promise of the idea of unity was to bring our country together, to unify the country, perhaps for the first time in the history, and we didn't spring it on people in the dead of night. Nobody had to take any fishing boat after the votes were counted. We told you in advance, if you vote for us, this is what we will do. And you voted for us, and we have done as we said we would do. It is not only about the money, but while I'm talking, I want you to keep $113.36 million in your head. As a friend of mine like to say, put that to the north of your mind. Let us now put some things to the south, east, and west of your mind as well. For the first time in our 33 years? This year, 34 years of independence. For the first time, it took a Team Unity government for the people of Nevis to count among their number an ambassador. We now have diplomats from Nevis serving the nation of St. Christopher and Nevis in Washington, D.C., in Dubai, and in London. That never happened before. We now have a supervisor of elections from Nevis, the speaker from Nevis, our rep to ECTEL in St. Lucia from Nevis, our rep to ECCA, the DCA in Antigua from Nevis. On the SIDF board, we have a rep for the first time from Nevis. And today, I was privileged to be part of history. We had the first ever federal cabinet meeting in Nevis. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my point is simple. Unity has been good for our country. Unity has been good for our country. Unity has been good for the people of St. Kitts, and it has been good for the people of Nevis. And this, in my respectful opinion, was the promise of the idea of unity. This is what we came to you and asked you to invest in. A better country. A country with opportunities, not for some, but for all. A country where whether you were born in Nevis or you were born in Sinkis, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. All that mattered was your willingness to make a contribution to this, our beloved nation of St. Christopher and Nevis. And so long as we are here, and so long as you invest and continue to invest your confidence in us, I promise you, St. Kitts and Nevis, and I promise as a proud representative of the people of Number 9, that we shall not disappoint you. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.